The journey from IFM to this place has been uh, full of uphill and downhill climbs. And like any other IFMite, I also started the career in 1995 with the campus placement from good old IFM. I got placed in Aditya Birla Group when I was passing out in 1995, and that's how this whole journey started. Basically, my orientation has always been industry-based assignments. I was not quite keen on development and uh, those other sectors which IFM promises to the batch. So I was always very keen on the industry, and therefore my orientation was towards the industry and the corporate assignments. So that's
Okay.
exactly how I picked up the job option of Aditya Birla Group. And I joined Aditya Birla Group in 1995 as a management trainee, and then I was assigned the responsibilities of handling field responsibilities of wood procurement and resource development in the raw material supply chain function of the entire company. And from there on, it has been an uphill career and a lot of learning opportunities every day, hundreds of new people, areas, geographies, technical and non-technical things, commercial and various other aspects of the job. Um, from
Hmm.
there on, as you learn more and more, uh, you start uh, gaining more and more also and contributing more and more also. So this is how I came forward for higher and higher responsibilities, and I had a fantastic career in Aditya Birla Group for almost 18 years. So that was one of the longest duration one has served in an organization which has offered placement to the IFM student. So I was among too few of IFMites who were doing their job in industry. To name a few, some of my seniors have done fantastic jobs in raw material sector of the industry, and because of the good path carved by them, IFMites had good opportunities and recognition in such industries. And with that impetus, it was possible for me to establish and take the flag higher and perform to my level best in the industry. And of course, a lot of learning across and cross-functional learning as well as sector-specific learning you gain as you go along. So this has been a fantastic career, and based on this, in the 18 years, the career graph was very good. I had a fast-track career. I was one of the youngest to attain the head of the department status and then head of the function status. I was one of the youngest in the overseas team, which was responsible for acquisitions and joint ventures and various other due diligences of the new projects, all across various geographies and in which Aditya Birla Group was planning the expansion. So I have contributed in various projects in Sweden, Canada, Northern America, other places, and even Africa, some parts of it, and Southeast Asia, of course, a lot of work in Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, etc. So with that, a lot of exposure in this thing, gradually it happens so that an IFMite will start assessing himself and the possibilities in the sector sooner or later. So that's exactly what has happened with me. And I was doing my best in the company, and the company was kind of harvesting its best from me. That was a time when this whole thing stuck to me that there's a lot of things which can be done in the raw material sector, and there are possibilities of organizing this sector into a much better place for any functionality to be handled or any functionary to work in this. So that's where the whole idea of this entrepreneurship related to the raw material supply chain emerged. I think it was somewhere in the year 2008-9 approximately, and it took me a couple of years to visualize that how I'm going to do this and how exactly is the path to be taken for this. So that's how in 2012 I finally came out of Aditya Birla Group after a long negotiation with the organization for leaving it. It was almost 1 year it took me for convincing them, and finally the management agreed to relieve me. in 2012, and immediately after that, I was invited by WWF India for heading their forestry, sustainable forestry program. So I had a brief stint at WWF as Director Sustainable Forest Management, wherein I have got further exposure in terms of the sustainable forest management programs and GFT and Global Forestry Trade Network, etc., etc. Immediately after that, I started this company, Vikalp. So Vikalp was born in 2013, July, and that's how the journey has started. And as usual, I had my own set of the ups and downs in Vikalp. And coming from a service background with no big shot backing you up and having limited resources and very little collaterals to offer to the banks to trust you, you obviously have a very tough journey in the initial stages. And especially when we launched Vikalp, we straight away ventured into manufacturing sector. We went into manufacturing of biomass based fuel for industrial applications, that too Bangalore based. So our first plant was on a leased premises, and that's how the journey started. So we were kind of struggling to meet the two ends every day and out. But it took us a couple of years to realize the potential, and with good kind of business acumen and the networking skills which we had. It took us some time, but sooner, I mean, by end of that first year itself, our name was quite well established in the sector of the users. And that's how we started gaining our clientele. So it's basically your commitment, your professionalism, and the approach you have towards the issue. Everybody can manufacture. It's not a big issue. You just put a machine and start making something. But the approach you have towards the business, the sincerity and the honesty you have towards the business, the transparency which you adopt in the business, that serves a lot. So that's how we earned our customers. And to tell you frankly, the first customers which we had, even today, they are with us. So they have not opted out of us. Even when we shifted our plant to our own premises, and it took almost around 9 months of shutdown for our changeover from the leased plant to our own plant. Still, those customers waited for us that, okay, let Vikalp complete its commissioning of the new plant, and then we resume the supplies from Vikalp. So that's how the relationship start getting built. The fantastic journey. On the way, a lot of milestones have been added and achieved. And IFM is quite aware of all those things. I need not repeat all those things again. And as a young batch and fresh batch, you guys will definitely read across those things. And it's more important to be satisfied on oneself rather than getting the accolades and awards. So I don't believe in hanging certificates on my wall, but I believe that end of the day I should get a good sleep, and I should, at the time of retirement, I should say yes, kuch to kiya sector ke liye, chalo theek hai. See, the development sector work for the microfinance and various other sectors which IFMites are opting out in the recent past is a completely different sector, and industry and corporate assignments are a completely different ball game altogether. In industry and corporate sector, you are not working for the purpose of extending a cause or a kind of you mean to say that for a larger section of the society. You are working for the day-to-day targets there. You are working on numbers. You are working on certain quantum of targets which have been assigned to you, on the KRAs which have been assigned to you. So in development sector, the downs and the ups are taken much more balanced way than what they are taken in the industry. In industry, you cannot afford to fail too often. Whereas in development sector, your one project may be successful, another two project may not be successful, and you may assess most of your project's success as average. Okay, theek kiya, it was not bad. Whereas in industry, it doesn't happen like that. In industry, you need to consistently succeed, consistently produce results. So there is a lot of pressure which mounts when you're working in industry. That pressure is mainly because of the target orientation of the results. For instance, I will give you a small example. When in my first posting, when I was just 1 year old in Aditya Birla Group, I was assigned a divisional position in Dharwad district of Karnataka. And my boss sent me with a single half-page note that this is the office address. You need to go and take charge from Mr. So and so. So you have to reach there by tomorrow morning 9 o'clock. So I did not even know where on earth is Dharwad. So I had to literally find out the way and reach there. And once I reached there, I realized that the person who was handing over the charge to me is actually resigned, and he is joining the competitor. He is joining the another company which is in the same market, procuring the same quantity, the same quantum of this thing. So obviously, how a fresher who is just going and joining that area, even not knowing where this whole thing is on the map, is going to compete with the person who is having 15 years of experience, and now he is going and joining the additional camp. So all that said and done, the next day morning, I receive a call from my boss saying that, okay, Ashish, I must have taken the charge. Okay, what is the target? What is the achievement for today? So I said, sir, I've just taken charge yesterday. I'm yet to go to the field area and see what exactly how things are going on in there. He said, no. Your today's target is this much. By end of the day, you have to send this much of wood to the company. And this is how it works here. You cannot be given time for. So what I'm trying to say here, when you are in industrial field, when you are working in industry, there's no time to learn. There is no time to kind of buy time for giving the results. So there is a lot of pressure which mounts. With these pressures, if you are able to sustain, then consistently your results will start coming in. And the IFM placements and the sectorial preferences is more or less a chain reaction. I was telling this to the fresh batch also that day. It's a chain reaction. The work which you do in your internships is going to give the results in placement. The work which your seniors do after placements in the organizations will result in summer internships and will result in future placements. So it's triggering a chain reaction. People are opting for microfinance, people are opting for development, more people are going there, so more organizations are coming in like that. So somebody needs to break that chain, or somebody needs to initiate a new chain where you go and join an industry, you do good, and then come back. Most of the AFMites, I'm kind of not so very happy to see the changing preferences of the youngsters. They don't want to wet their feet in the initial years only. They want money, they want comfort, they want an AC office, and they want name, reputation, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So it doesn't work like that in industry. In industry, you need to gain experience by doing things practically by your hand. Unless you know the nuts and bolts of the field, unless you know the nitty-gritty of the ground, you would not be given a position where you can sit at a desk and take a decision. And this holds good, in fact, for all the sectors. आजकल लोग क्या सोचते हैं कि मैं सीधा डिसीजन मेकिंग पोजीशन पर बैठ जाऊं. I should be given projects, there should be 5 people working under me, I should be able to guide those people, and I should be able to extract the work. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that. Nobody will give you a decision making position unless you yourself are aware of the nitty-gritty position. You take bureaucracy also. You take even an IAS officer who just joins an IAS cadre. Is he given a secretary post right away? No, he goes and works in a rural background for first 5 years, 6 years. He understands the nuances. That's the learning period. He even sometimes IAS officers I've seen kind of touching the feet of very junior bureaucrats, very junior bureaucrats who are nowhere in the cadre. That's how they learn. So इस तरह से जब तक कोई सीखेगा नहीं, उसको वो पोजीशन मिलेगी नहीं. And there have been few individuals in industry, since the industry pressure is more, and unfortunately the industry, especially the pulp and paper industry and the wood-based industry in India, has always been dominated by family-owned businesses, has always been dominated by traditional organizations. This professionalism is now creeping in organizations industry gradually in the last 10-15 years. Otherwise, predominantly these are family owned kind of business, जहाँ पर सेठ जी आते हैं, सेठ जी दुकान में बैठते हैं और सेठ जी के मुनीम जी होते हैं, मुनीम जी के नीचे लोग होते हैं. That kind of functioning is there in most of these industries. So one needs to be really cut out to be that kind of assignment. One really needs to have that kind of wherewithal to withstand all these kind of things. तब जाके इंडस्ट्री में एक नाम बनता है, तब जाके इंडस्ट्री में आपका पैर जमता है. And it's a tougher assignment in industry per se. But at the same time, once you establish your feet, there are fewer people in the industry who are at your cadre. See, first of all, I would like to tell you guys that the doors for the industry oriented assignments are just about to open in India. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the expansions and the broadening of the sector which is happening in India. Earlier, industry assignments used to be considered as just pulp and paper industry, in which either you go to Build or you go to JK or you go to some Grassiman, etc. Now it is not so. For your batches and the future batches which are coming up shortly, it's an excellent opportunity by two things. One is the sector is about to open after this COVID and all that, because the Indian wood sector, basically the wood-based industry, when I say it is not only the pulp and paper industry, it is the plywood, it is the interior decor industry, it is the various value-added commodities on the wood front, it is the timber processing industry, it's the furniture processing industry, including furniture makers like IKEA and others entering India. So the sector and the demand in the sector is just about to open. And unfortunately, this COVID is there, which is a temporary phenomena, assuming that 2021-22, this whole thing is not going to affect much. There are huge opportunities coming up in terms of the requirement of professionals, forestry professionals from IFM. After COVID, the situation is going to be like that. The industry who is on the verge of expansion, I can name at least 5 major expansion or greenfield programs in India in coming 5 years, which includes the international pulp and paper industry, which includes the international wood processing industry, which includes the furniture makers, which includes the already existing mills into brownfield expansions, and various other things. So there is going to be an additional requirement of almost around 50,000 tons of wood every day. 50,000 tons of wood every day. Now, where would that wood come from? It would obviously come from agroforestry. It would obviously, the entire supply chain has to be developed accordingly. If the supply chain has to be developed accordingly, you need people who can do work with farmers, who can do networking. You will need public-private partnerships. You will need farmer produce organizations. You will need professionals who can coordinate these things. You will need people who can develop ERPs. You will need people who can actually execute and coordinate the small transporters and aggregate these things. There's so many opportunities which are coming up. So in terms of placements for IFMites and in terms of entrepreneurship, both the ways, this is a huge opportunity coming up. The only thing you need is a correct linkage for getting up to the opportunity, getting the access to the opportunity, for which your seniors are there, alumni is there, people like me who have served in industry and who know everybody in the entire nook and corner of the country who's working in the supply chain would serve to be a very good. So you need to be working very closely with the alumni, and especially alumni association. You need to have very close ties in every respect. You need to be the flag bearer of alumni association, your batch, and whether it is ANC or you people or that's why at that day when I was talking to you, I told that you should have a coordinated effort in terms of whatever we are planning to. And so industry is going to come back to IFM for placements, provided you guys play your cards right. Very, very precise and very to the point on this. Number one is you need to know the forestry well. When it comes to short rotation forestry, please note down short rotation forestry of the agroforestry based species which are grown in India. This is one thing which you need to be very, very smart on, because when you go to industry, you're expected to know the silvicultural practices of eucalyptus and subabu, which is normally grown by the industry, let's say bamboo and all these things. So that's one thing, silvicultural aspects and technical forestry aspects of the short rotation agroforestry crops. One. Number two is very, very important, the legal aspects and the taxation aspects of the commercial transactions of agroforestry species. The
Okay.
taxation, whether GST and the APMC taxes are applicable and the forest statutes applicable on that. In certain places, the from forest department or the forest corporations, if the wood is coming, then there are some FDTs, forest development taxes, which are charged. So state wise, if whichever your area of interest, you need to develop that kind of knowledge in terms of, okay, what are the statutory requirements, and please do not study it from the point of view of passing exams. That's bullshit.
Yes.
Please do not do that.
Okay.
For the
Okay.
purpose of enhancing your knowledge, you read statutes on that. Don't go in for ready-made some article on that and then going and reproducing in the exam. Please do not do that. So this is
Okay.
the second thing. The third thing, it would be good to understand the socio-economic aspects of the timber trade in India, which is very, very
Okay.
important. Timber, India is a net importer of timber, and in fact, India is the number two largest importer of timber. And the value add which happens in India and the export of timber and products which happens in India. So it will be a good idea for you guys to understand the nuances of why timber is imported in India and why finished products are exported out of India, and various other aspects related to import and export of timber and the related products, wood
Okay.
based products. So
Okay.
if I would expect that as an IFMite, when you go and join an industry, if suddenly your boss is asking that, okay, what would be the HSN code of this particular commodity, you should be able to answer that. I mean, to that extent, your knowledge should be there. Okay, what is HSN code and which category, which chapter wood comes in the HSN category and all those things. So these are technical aspects which you guys should be knowing. Now, these are the things where IFMites, fresh IFMites fail miserably. I have seen IFMites जिनको मैं ये बोल दूंगा तो उनको HSN क्या है वो पता ही नहीं है दिमाग में. So all these
Okay.
things are there. So if you read all these things out of your enthusiasm and knowledge enhancement, you will come to know what are these things. So export,
Okay.
import, silvicultural aspect, and the taxation. These are the three things which you need to understand about it. I
Okay.
thank you very much.